Hello, John 7 verse 43 continues. Thus the people were divided because of Jesus. Some wanted to seize him, but no one laid a hand on him. See, that sums up human mentality. Instead of researching what he said, researching the scriptures, instead of trying to find the middle ground, all they did was they were being divided, they were arguing with each other. In fact, even some wanted to seize him so that they can murder Christ. But that's the issue. Why would you not, if somebody comes with a claim like that, and I understand, look, there are different kinds of claims someone can make throughout, life. Some may have a different seriousness than other, but this was an extremely serious case. If somebody says that they are God, and it is followed by miracle, the least you should do is examine it. And it's the same thing with non-believers as well. That's why I never understood non-believers. So it's one thing to examine the evidence and say, I've examined everything, all the arguments for the existence of God, and I don't find them convincing because there are logical fallacies, because there are issues with the argument. And you could say, fair enough, you rejected Christ, you examined the evidence. But to say, not even examining the evidence, not even looking at things, because if somebody brings you an argument and you flat right reject it, you don't even consider it. Because I read it today, somebody said an evidence, somebody presented an argument saying that the universe is so fine-tuned that even if you spread a measuring tape across the universe, and if you move it by an inch, imagine that that would be the gravity, and if you move the gravitational constant by an inch on a measuring tape that's spread across the universe, the universe wouldn't exist. So I don't have a faith to believe that it wasn't designed, it wasn't made by intelligence. And somebody commented that, oh yeah, you believers should stop believing fairy tales, and it's a logical fallacy anyway. It literally doesn't make sense, and people are not attacking the argument. They're creating a different kind of hypothetical argument that they're attacking, and it doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, verse 45 continues. Finally, the temple guards went back to the chief priests and the Pharisees, who asked them, "Why didn't you bring him in? No one ever spoke the way this man does," the guards replied. See, even the guards didn't know what to do with him because of the authority he had when he was talking, and the authority he had over the scriptures. And that's one thing to understand, that only God had authority over the scriptures. So I think somehow, somewhere, they had this understanding deep inside that if somebody comes and claims to have an authority over the scriptures and talks like one who has authority over the scriptures, then that individual, it's safe to assume that that individual is not lying when the person is claiming to be God. And I think that's what the guards alluding to here, that they understood what Christ was saying was the truth. And verse 47 continues, "You mean he has deceived you also?" The Pharisees retorted. "Have any of the rulers or of the Pharisees believed in him?" So that's the issue. According to contemporary historians, and I probably mentioned this, but they knew that the Pharisees and the Sadducees, these guys were the religious elite. Most of them, obviously not everybody, but most of them, what was prominent among them, it was the amassing of power, of authority. All they wanted was power and money. That's what was most important. And if I was preaching on fasting and praying this last Sunday, and there was one interesting Bible verse where people were complaining that, look, we are fasting and you don't accept it, we are suffering. And God said, Yeah, but that's not what I want. I don't want the outward. I want you, when you fast, I want you to help the poor. I want you to free the slaves, or pay the whatever they owe. Because slavery in the old day didn't mean uh, like transatlantic slavery. Slavery was more like an indebted servitude. So you owed money and you had to work it off. And that's what God said, that when you fast, you need to help others, to show me how much you love me. That was the whole thing. That was the whole Old Testament about the old law. It was about people were supposed to love the other. They were supposed to help each other. But throughout the scriptures, God keeps complaining that how unfaithful people are, how horrible they treat each other. It was especially true for the religious elite. And if you place it into contemporary settings, I think it's the same when it comes to our society, because our religious leaders, and I'm talking about the white society, the ones with actual power, or the scientists, they are today's high priest. And they are the ones who seem to control the thoughts and the minds of other people. And I've seen debates, I've seen people talk, and you can tell that they really enjoy their status in the society. But that's the problem. They don't let others have thought other than theirs in terms of naturalism. And there's an interesting article I read a while ago. There's something called Discovery Institute in the United States, and that's led by creationists. And the leader of the institute said that scientists are seen as Jews in the Second World War, like having the yellow star, because whenever they're trying to publish something in a scientific journal, scientific magazine, they are getting rejected. And the reason is they're getting rejected, most of them anyway. The reason is that they're creationists and they know they belong to a creationist group. I remember reading that there was a person who was doing his PhD here in the UK, and the person lost the lab space when they realized that he was involved in a creationist group. Which I think is, it's just sad situation, because why do they care if I believe God exists or not? How does it? Well, I suppose in effect it does influence your science, in that there are a lot of scientific discoveries that naturalists predicted, like vestigious organs. Naturalists predicted that we have organs like the spleen. I think it was the spleen. And yeah, I think so. Anyway, a couple of organs that are junk organs or junk DNA. You don't need them in your body. Then turns out the creationists said no, it's not the case. Those are there for a reason, and it turned out the creationists were right. There are no junk DNA. There isn't any organ in our body or nerve or anything that we do not need. We need everything. Everything has a purpose. And they correctly predicted these things, but naturalists wouldn't have it. And I find it a sad situation, because many people who would otherwise believe in the existence of God, unfortunately, are either closet Christians, or they just don't pursue the knowledge of Christ. It's sad. Amen.